Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I am Ananda Rose, and welcome, Emma Liston.
Heroes.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. It's been a rough
That-
few weeks, but I'm good. And how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Very good. I'm just checking our volume.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
there you go. You're fine.
Okay.
Well, everyone, this is the first live chat we're doing on Ananda Rose because, we had the rebrand from the Great Awakening Generator to Ananda Rose. And I don't mind saying the Great Awakening Generator because what an awesome name. And we just got the download that we needed to change it to Ananda Rose. So thank you very much for joining us. I know we did not inform everybody that this was up and coming, but we've never really done that too much on the channel. We just go live when we feel guided to, and then we talk about the different things that we are talking about. So I guess we're going to start with a little bit of light language for welcome, and so Emma, we're just going to breathe together. Okay, everyone, feet firmly planted on the ground. Take a breath. Take another one if you need it. Mahika Mahai Kola Mahian Selamang no Kola Mahi Kola Mahi Lela Lela Mahia Hiarok Mahan Saheno Kumahinaku Asilekatatavaranakai. Welcome everyone. Welcome to this platform. Welcome to this time. This space. Whenever you find it, thank you. And as we're coming back, just another breath. Bring yourself back into the most present time. Thank you, Koronatia.
Thank you.
Well, it's good to be back having a live chat. I mean, gosh, we had the space, and when we tell you about a little bit of whatever's happening in the world that we live in, and you'll see. So Emma, and anyone who's joining us for the first time, Emma is from beingmagic.com. All right, being-magic.com is the website. being-magic.com is the website. So if you want to know about Emma's work, I will put the link in the description box. But also, we're going to talk a little bit about her work. I've got something that I want to share with all of you today as well. And we'll do that before the end of today's live transmission. So Emma, how are you? Let's go.
Yeah, well, I'm better. Funnily enough, 2 weeks ago I was sick for the first time in 2.5 years, and yeah, it smacked me around a bit, but it was very interesting. It was very interesting what was going on energetically in my life at the time. So the physical sort of symptoms, some days were not the hardest part of what I was doing. And I'm guessing, a lot of people have been talking about it, but seem to be a lot of relationship challenges at the moment. And for me, that's bigger than just people. I know people are having challenges with their relationship, with their jobs, with their relationships with themselves, even.
Yeah.
And, it occurred to me, Rose, is that we don't really know who we are. the true self is emerging. And I know that Sarah Ariana spoke about it a couple of, well, I don't even know where I am, but it may have been a month or two ago, or maybe less than that. But she was talking about the death of the old. And what I've realized is in the past sort of week that there really is a grieving process. There is a sense of loss of the old me, but the bigger me is coming in. But it's not to say that there still isn't that sense of loss. And it's almost like the grieving process, because you all of a sudden don't know who you are. And you know that there's a bigger version of you coming in, but you find that you're not enjoying people the same way. You're not enjoying the old things the same way. And there's a little bit of you that gets quite forlorn about that, because it's all we've ever known. And I think what's really important is what struck me this week is that we've been so much in our heads, and that's how we've been living. And now it's almost coming back into the heart, and we've not really been feeling things. We know we don't know how to deal with emotions, all of those kinds of things. But the minute you drop into your heart and you get out of your head, that sense of loss seems to it seems to be helped a little bit, if I can phrase it that way.
Yes.
Because you realize that you're now feeling, and when you actually go through that, the anger and the trauma and the pain and the loss and all those kinds of things that happen with the grieving process, when you get to the end and you reach that acceptance, there's something quite beautiful that happens. And because it's not happening in the mind, there is almost an expansion that comes with that. But at the same time, from the human perspective, it's very, very hard. I have been very, very sad the past, well, I have felt very sad the past 2 weeks.
Yeah. Mm. I for me, I've gone through this. I've been going through this for a long time, this grieving the loss of life the way it used to be. And I had this very profoundly about my career recently. Like, I came to the realization, oh, my career has ended. And that really broke my heart, because I really loved what I was doing in my career. And it's taken me a long time to accept that. I just think I just didn't see the writing on the wall. Like in 2020, when it was all ending, and I know 2020 was a significant year for other things, but that was the time. Like, I remember one of my big contracts, the best contract, the best CEO I work with, that was coming to a close on the 30th of April, 2020. And I felt the loss of it. And I mean, I've talked to Simon so many times, it's like you were talking about a few times you've mentioned your ex-boss and your relationship. Like I've talked to Simon so many times. He's been there giving me references for other contracts and things like that. But these other contracts do not come to material. They just stay for a period of time and then they're gone. And so it kind of was for me, it was a long process. I grieve the loss of my life, and I see that thing now, the way it used to be was, I when I talk about the house I used to live in, and the energy of that house, and whatever that was, and I think, for me it was, gosh, I don't know, it was such a dark night of the soul. But coming back to present time, I've had a lot of people talking to me about stuff that's going on with them in this last 2 weeks. So my learning has been through the experiences of other people. I just want to go one more time. I just want to talk about myself here, and then I'm going to talk about these other experiences that's going to support what you're saying, because I think that we have a very important message today for anyone out there that is going through this, right? So in my last video, I felt that I talked about, what did I talk about? Two things: false light, the voices that we hear that we think are our higher selves, and we've got to understand that. And I talked, gosh, I can't remember, but the one thing that's really standing out to me was I talked about childhood trauma.
Mm.
And in there, I made this bold statement about myself, about having been sexually abused as a child. And it was really weird, because here I was talking about, and I talked about family relationships, because that's what, I found in my learnings in the last 2 weeks, was that a lot of people, were going through things about family, like their partner, husband relationships, the romantic relationships, or the children dynamics. Like some people were like, I just need to get away from my 9-year-old because I can't cope with it, or whatever. And I was like, okay, so what's the learning in this? And that is the thing, coming back to what we're clearing at the moment. And whether you are a light worker, whether you are a light being, we are right now, we have no idea. Well, we have some inkling, I think, of how advanced we have gone into this journey.
Yeah.
And what is hidden from us is the who we are right now. And part of the transition is about these relationships, because think about it, all this time, all the work we've been doing is always about the collective. It's beyond our closely knit relationships. We always think, oh, we're here for the collective. We're part of to support the awakening process, to help people through the transformation. Whatever we're offering in our energy healing or whatever has been for the collective. Now it's coming home to the closer ones. And it's really, like I said this earlier this week to a couple of people. Okay, think about how easy you put yourself out there for the collective. And now we have got all those people closer to us, for example, because there's been a lot of the conversations about personal relationships that was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. Like I had somebody saying to me, there must have been, I'm not even one person, probably about 5 or 6 people saying to me, hey, you know what? I don't know if I can be in my relationship anymore. And so that's when I put that video out, because my guides were saying, you need to talk about this in a generic perspective and say to people, hey, this is okay. It is okay to go through that. Don't be frightened. Don't be thinking something's wrong with you because, well, you thought you were going to be married to that person for the rest of your life. If we had to deal with the outside relationships, if we had to balance out the outside relationships, because we're constantly doing that at the moment, right? You know, even with energy healers, like now we're not listening to esoteric teachers or whatever on YouTube, for example. You're not listening to everybody you were listening to 6 months ago.
No.
In fact, quite often I'm like, no, I can't do that anymore. Because, you know, a few months ago I said we have become light being. We are no longer human, whatever that means. And this is part of that process. This is what I felt in terms of family dynamics and relationships. But what the other thing was, after I put out the video and I talked about me being sexually abused as a child, I thought to myself, oh God, what have I done? Like, should I have said that about myself? I mean, I've had other people on the channel that just come out and say it easily, you know, and I felt in the past when people have done that, whilst I didn't come out and say it, I said it in a roundabout way, but I also felt a little bit of discomfort with making that confession. But my guides had said to me, you need to say that because somebody out there is going through the trauma of that and holding the guilt for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the thing of the matter is, you know, like I've gone through all the phases of it. Maybe I haven't finished all the phases of it. Maybe that's why I needed to say it. However, one of the things that's been highlighted to me in the last say 12 months, because at Lions Gate last year I had a download of someone very close to me who had passed away but was supposedly not dead, right? And that's a big statement to make, a bold statement to make, that and the words that come here is human trafficking, right? And so I was talking to someone who is a, you know, energy healer who's quite like advanced in the journey this last few weeks. And I mentioned that what I've learned through my experience as a person who had been sexually abused as a child was that, you know what, it was not nice, and the journey to come to myself was not great. But what I've learned is some of us chose in our contract, or was told in the contract, when we come here, we're going to have to go through that. Because only when you go through that can you have the empathy to the level you need to have to complete your mission on the planet. Yeah. That is not discounting. I'm sorry to say this. I've just got to turn my phone off. That is not discounting what has happened to anybody. That is saying, that's not discounting that I went through the trauma of that, or that happened to me, or that I felt unsafe, or that it was yucky, all of those things. It's saying, here is another angle you can look at this from, and saying, please, please do not carry the guilt of this. Yeah. Make that peace, however that is going to resonate for you and work for you, that's what you need to do. So there's a lot of mixed melting pot things going on right now, right? Lots of shadow into the pot.
Well, I think that what's happening on a global level is happening. It's becoming very evident that each one of us are also clearing our own stuff. So, and it's anything that we can't carry anymore, we shouldn't carry, or that needs to be let go of. Now
Yeah.
is the time, because that's really what the world's going through. All the darkness is coming up to the top, and it's no different for us as individuals.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like with the things that we're doing and we like protect ourselves and meditation and all of that, but it doesn't always work. That it doesn't always work like that, is what I mean. Because, we think, I don't know, sometimes we think, oh, we've done all that work. I shouldn't have to do that again. I shouldn't have to have that memory again. I shouldn't have to hear that stuff. Like, the last couple of weeks, I've been hearing of sexual abuse. I've been hearing a situation. And I'm thinking, why am I having, and I can see it in my mind's eye, why am I having a memory of that? Where did that happen?
Yeah, but I think, Rose, it's important to also remember that healing happens in layers. Because imagine trying to, let's say, just scoop out every single little thing that had ever happened to you in one fell swoop and try and deal with it. It just, we wouldn't be
It's not
able to
happening.
cope with that. So,
Yeah.
and I mean, I use the analogy of the damn suitcases washing up on the shore. You think that you've emptied it and thrown it back, and and then you take a few more steps and that damn suitcase is at your feet again, and you
Wow.
open it and there's more stuff in it, so but it healing happens in layers. And it's and I think what's also important is that, for a long time, people spoke about us being the ones here to clear the generational trauma, and I kind of poo-pooed that. But with the memories that I've been having of past lifetimes of being a witch, being persecuted, tortured, killed, I just go, maybe there's something in it. I think that we're even clearing stuff that's not even from this lifetime, and that maybe is even from our ancestors. I mean, it's massive,
It's
because
massive.
we've got to transmute all the darkness. We've got to clear it.
Yeah.
And it happens through the physical body. It doesn't
Yeah.
happen out there. It doesn't happen in the ether. Um,
Yeah. Definitely happens. Happens. It's important to understand that I've met one person only that's told me that they're not interested. They don't believe that what's happening to them currently has anything to do with ancestry.
yeah.
And it's there's not, but this person is so much highly evolved in their transformation process and is so wise in terms of everything esoteric that I just have to say that's okay. If
Mm,
that's what you think and that's how you're feeling, then I must leave you there because that is your journey. Um, the one of the other things I want to say, not to change the subject, but it's related. I found that sometimes the things that we're hearing are a lot about voices that are not from our squad in spirit. Be aware, but because the veil is thin and we are so always in that energetic space, we think nowadays my whole life is about it, right? And everything I see, I think, oh, what's this, or whatever. And, but nevertheless, I think what we have to understand about it is that it also leaves room for other voices to come in. And
mm,
so
mm.
recognize, be authentically yourself and recognize whose voice that is that comes through there.
Yeah, well, I think that's why discernment is so key at the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And even sometimes somebody who says something to you that that they are, check everything, check within yourself. How does it sit? If it's uncomfortable, who's playing that uncomfortable violin? Who's playing that uncomfortable music? Is it your higher self that's alerting you? Or is it something else that's saying, don't listen because you don't need that? Is that the ego saying, oh, no, no, don't do that? Or is it another voice?
Mm.
We have come through a lot. We are grown up. And we need to, my feeling is we really need to focus on the fact that we are giving ourselves less credit for how far we are into the journey.
Yeah, I mean it's quite hectic. I mean, if somebody told us this in the beginning, I mean, you know,
We wouldn't have done this.
no, and I think that's why it's important that I often say this, but meet yourself where you're at. Just do it in bite-sized chunks because, this isn't a race. We're not here to compare. The days of the competitive and the me comparing where I am with you, that's an ego-based, very 3D thing. Everybody is on their path and everybody needs to give themselves the space to be where they're at.
Yeah, and don't be surprised. I feel like don't be surprised if somebody you think has done so much work in so many aspects doesn't know the something you're talking about, or doesn't, apart from not knowing that they don't, or they say something and you think, oh my gosh, are you still stuck in that racism thing? Are you still stuck in that number thing? Are you still stuck in that limitation thing? Don't be surprised because these things are coming out for us. Our shadows are coming to the forefront,
Mm.
and at the end of the day, it's just, it's important to just discern. That's exactly right. What you're saying, it's about discernment, right? It's saying, whose report will you believe?
Yeah.
Your own, really.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I mean, we all need to be our own guru, and there's a lot of people at the moment, actually quite a few that are talking about this, that they themselves, even though we've looked up to them, that they're still going through this, because I think it's also important to remember that you never arrive there. This is not a destination, it's a journey. And it's not like, the gurus have all got their stuff together, because the healing is still happening in layers. And when we're not healing ourselves, we're healing for the collective. And, on and on it goes, because we're all part of one at the end of the day.
Exactly. And 2023 for me was the year that showed me it's about you. And because I work with so many esoteric energy healers, teachers of intuitive teachers, I could see them going through it.
Yeah.
I could see the warning signs, and if my guidance was to say something, I did. If my guidance was, you see that, be quiet about it. This is not for you to be the one to deliver that message. And I did that. And so this is why I say what I say. It's 2023 was the year for self-love and self-reflection. And it was reminding us, if you were operating from it, if anyone was operating from an ego perspective in their intuitive teaching and energy healing, because people they were called up on it. And some of them are still going through the journey of that. And it's okay, because how can we ask other people to be something we're not?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
so Emma, before we go to the cards, I want to do two things. Is there anything else you want to do? Say before we go to cards?
No, I think that's about it. It really is a very introspective place at the moment, but it's also, I want to just say to people out there what I said earlier, just be careful that you don't get stuck in the mind. When you're in these places and you are reviewing things and looking at things, just try and be in your heart, because the mind is not the thing that is able to get you out of this. In fact, the mind can make it 10 times worse, because the mind spirals. The mind does not know how to deal with this kind of thing. This is the emergence of the true self, and the mind is, well, it's not equipped to deal with it. Your heart is, because that's where your soul is. And your soul is lighting your path if you'll just allow it to. And it's very important to be in that space of allowing, surrendering, and trusting, because you know that you are bigger than your body. Know that
Yes.
you're bigger than your human self.
Yes. So I love that you said that. I feel like this, I'm prompted to say the soul is the compass.
Yeah.
It is the steering wheel of the ship, and it is the lighthouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all three together.
Yeah.
So just, navigate like that. Wow, everything very naval, that conversation. Now, I think we didn't mention solstice. We didn't mention full moon. I don't know if you were going to, but I mean, so many people are talking about it, friends. And so all I can say to you is happy solstice
Mm.
and happy full moon. It was interesting. Friday night, the moon was, you could see the moon on Friday night, but yesterday at 1:05 p.m. Auckland time was when the moon was at its fullest. And interesting, last night we had so much cloud and rain.
Mm.
Thank you, geotechnology. Geoengineering, dare I say it. And this morning, at like 6:30, it was pouring down. It was like it felt like it was just like pockets of rain coming down, like the heavens open, and there was this round, like a bucket or something, just pouring the rain out in specific places, and then it wasn't all over the place, which is kind of weird, right? I mean, well, anyway, yeah, well, never
It's
mind.
a lot, but I was intrigued that I don't often see the full moon kind of, on the day that I know you say it reaches a peak at a certain time. But on Friday night, I saw it and it looked like the sun. And it's been the first
Yes,
time in months because every time we have a full moon and a new moon here, it is cloudy and you can't see it.
exactly.
And it was, I think, last month, I saw it sort of in the early evening, and then by the evening it was overcast. But interestingly enough, it hasn't kept me awake the past few months, and it kept me awake on Friday night. And
Yeah.
I think purely because it was so light.
Yes,
We're not
yes,
used to that. When it's blocked out by the cloud, it
that's
is
it.
obviously the light goes, but
Mm,
I was very intrigued to see how bright it was at the solstice. It was like nothing was going to stop it.
exactly. And that's the thing, because interestingly enough, somebody had said to me on Thursday, I had a conversation with somebody on Thursday, and she said, oh, the full moon is at 3 p.m. Auckland time on Friday. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do radio, and so we can do an invocation for the full moon. And then I looked it up because I thought, oh, I'll just check first. And it said the moon was going to be at its fullest during the day, our time, yesterday, like 22nd of June. But I also thought that the moon was pretty full and pretty bright on Friday night, and I thought, oh, are they sure about that timing? Are they
Well,
sure?
I always take it the 3 days leading up
Yes,
because
yes,
that's when you can see things happening energetically. So
yeah, yeah.
for me, the timing isn't so important. I kind of give 2 days before, 2 days afterwards, and I kind of just go with my intuition. I mean, I even set up a grid for the solstice, and I had cards out, and I had, funny enough, my dragon card of magic and manifestation came out. So that was in the,
Nice.
even though it was a full moon it was releasing, that card's all about kind of be careful what you wish for because you're going to get it delivered.
Oh wow. Okay, so I wished for the 9 million. It's coming then.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because I've been getting downloads about things like that this last week, and I thought, hey, is that wishful thinking, or is it the guidance? And it kind of started on the solstice. And so anyway, by the way, the downloads have been for collective, not necessarily for myself only, but it's for the collective. It's for what we're going to do. Right. Shall we talk about the next couple of things I've
Yeah.
got? All right. And then we'll go to cards. Everybody, here we are. I'm holding in my hand the 12 chakra sprays that Emma has completed. You talked about it on your channel, I know, but I wanted to talk about it on mine because I just thought, my people, hey, Emma's got them. She's completed them. And I am taking my time with them. I spoke to Lynn in Australia, who ordered them from you, and she was telling me how beautiful she's just really enjoying the chakra sprays, and she's just like finding them amazing. So I just wanted to say to everyone, the chakra sprays are out. I will talk more about them in the weeks to follow, or in the months to follow, because I use Emma's chakra sprays in my private ceremonies that I do here at home. And I just said to the guides last night, we haven't had one in a while. So private ceremony is coming up, and I'm going to use them. I've already started spraying them to see which ones I'm really getting excited about. And at the moment, it's the Stellar Gateway, the 12th one, and it's my solar plexus that, and it's, I can't remember now whether it was the throat chakra. I think it's the throat chakra and the solar plexus. Oh my gosh, the solar plexus got me very excited. I could just see gold all over the place when I sprayed it, you know. And I thought, no, I was doing it in a time when I wasn't like completely focused on it, and then I just want to have them. So, you know, being-magic.com, this is where you can get your 12 chakra sprays. Emma went through some interesting things developing these 12 chakra sprays. It is because our chakras, as we know, we always talked about the 7 chakras in the chakra column. Now we're going to 12, and sometimes we have people talking about 15 chakras, but 12 chakras. There's many. You can even have 64th, 164th chakra points, right? So this is how we are anchored here on the planet. And but this is about the transformation in terms of how we've come to the realization of this is as we're awakening and doing our transformation to the 5th dimension, 12 chakra sprays, right? So, you know, and also in the 5th dimension, the chakra colors, according to the teachers like Diana Cooper, those chakra colors have evolved into different colors, like where the heart chakra used to be green. Was it green?
Yeah,
it was green, right? It was green. Where the heart chakra used to be green, it's now an iridescent pink with white and gold light coming through it. So, you know, I'm just remembering what Tim Weil talks about when he talks about that chakra. Interesting. That's a dragon that's come out that's got those colors on it. Nevertheless, that's there. The other thing I want to talk about is something funny. And I promise we will go to the cards. Something funny but profound. And I think everybody that I just had a little baby rat we found in the house, alive and everything, a few weeks ago. And then I couldn't, gosh, how am I going to kill that little thing? Or even if it was a big thing, I'd be freaking out if it was a big thing. But I mean, I'd still try to save it because I can't, you know, killer instinct in that sense for me, not my thing. So Cara Daniels is the lady that I interviewed on the Great Awakening Generator, and the video is on there, and she talks to trees, she communicates with the elementals. She's a fairy, and she's incarnated in this time to represent the fairies here, is what I had a download for her. But I get her newsletters, and then she sent this year, the subject was, I got a call about a rat infestation. So if you're experiencing this, I hope this means something to you. And this is what she said. She said a lady had in here, I'll just read it. She said this lady had contacted her because she had a rat infestation in the house, and she was doing everything to the point to not. She was doing everything to discourage the rats being in the house, but calling an exterminator, because she didn't feel that that's how she wanted to do it. And then Cara got the call or she's called Cara. I'm saying Cara. She's Cara Daniels. They say American way of Cara is Cara Daniels, or like, you know. Anyway, so nevertheless, so she said she got this lady contacted her, so she tuned in, and she said the lady had said nothing was working, and she was getting close to calling the exterminator, but reached out to her first to see if there was another way. And then she got this here. She reached out. Cara reached out to the group of rats, and one in particular, the rat elder, as he called himself, stepped forward. And she said, here's a snippet of the conversation. Cara asked, did you come to the house specifically, or is your family or other rats inhabiting homes all around in the neighborhood? And the rat elder said, we came here because we could tell she, the homeowner, wouldn't harm us on sight. Her home radiates love and bright light. We could sense that we would be safe, at least in the short term. We came from the hills, a more natural landscape. We got pushed and moved out, forced, if you could imagine. The land was being dug up, and we had to vacate. So she said, so he asked, have we over-welcomed our stay? Quite possibly. And he says he could see that she said, but what can be done? We need a place to go to raise our young, to be free and safe. Where do you suggest we vacate to? So they asked her the question that, and then she said the response she gave them, she said that response gave her an idea. And she opened Google Maps, called the homeowner, and they looked at the map to see where the rats could go and be safe long term. Once they identified a nearby location, she turned her attention back to the rat elder, explained the idea, visualized a safe route from his current location to a more natural, undisturbed space about a quarter of a mile away, explained any potential dangers to watch out for, cats specifically, and this was his response. He said, let me call out to my kin, but it's going to take some time. Please forgive me if there is quite a delay in getting a message out to the whole group. There are quite a lot of us. We kindly ask for the person you are helping to wait and give us space to make a decision. Can you give us 6 to 7 moons? Wow, that's interesting. The homeowner agreed to give the rats the time to relocate. And then when she checked with the homeowner after 3 days, to see how things were, the response was, Kara, you are a miracle worker. I have neither heard nor seen a single rat all night and all day. So they might have said 6 to 7 moons, but they found their way. But nevertheless, I just wanted to share that because I just thought, Kara's work is amazing. But, and I know that we're not, I didn't even tell her that I'm going to do this. I just thought I wanted to share it with all of you because here's one way that we can actually, you can talk to the rats yourself.
Yeah. Everybody can. And it's a different way of thinking. These little creatures are just like us. And anybody that's owned a pet rat knows how intelligent they are. It's one of the reasons why I get upset about laboratories where they do animal testing. It's largely rats and mice. And I go, why do you think that these creatures are lesser than we are? In fact, a lot of them are more highly evolved than we are. We just think we're so cool, but it's yes, they are being pushed out just like we are. The same things are happening to them, and it's important. I mean, I had a fly in here yesterday, and it was sitting on my piece of paper, and he was just looking at me, and then he came and he was on my hand, and then I was like, hi, and and then he went off, and and then I had a bumblebee in here. He came in 3 times to say hello to me. But there are signs everywhere, and I really feel like with the veil thinning and with us moving into these new times that people are being given the opportunity to communicate with all the creatures. I mean, even the wasps and that. I mean, my kids, they still go outside and go, oh, a bee. And I go, just calm down. Why don't you just talk to the bee? The bee does not want to sting you. It is not out to get you. We've got to get out of this. There are different ways of doing things. This is very 3D, and we need to start treating the planet and us as a whole, because we are a whole. We're part of her. We're part of nature. Nature's part of us. We're not separate.
Yes, and I'm just reminded because I try my best when if a fly comes into the house, and to let it leave, even if I know it's cockroaches are like vermin is what they are referred to, but I just try to get them away, into the garden, because they live under the rocks and they live under the wood chips and that kind of thing. Just take them away to the natural habitat rather than killing. And the thing about people in New Zealand have a big thing about ants. When they see ants, they go spare. People just want to kill them. They just freak out when they see ants. But the ants are so important for this planet, for our ecosystems. They are so important. And I generally, if I suddenly have ants in the kitchen, then I just normally put them all on, pick them up on a paper towel, and then I leave them in leave the paper towel in the garden for them to go and find their way, because I'm trying my best not to kill another creation, whatever that is, right? And I know that, okay, so we eat meat and all of that, but the time will come for us when we will say, okay, this no longer serves my purpose here on the planet. Everybody is on the journey, and food is something we're so programmed to like. And if you have a desire for it, then they say satisfy the desire, because sometimes in in not satisfying the desire, you're doing more harm to yourself than you're doing good, that kind of thing, right? But just take the journey, be open in all aspects of what is coming through to you, because I feel like we will know, the ants, they're amazing creatures. I know they can be everywhere, but they're so amazing. And sometimes have you seen recently or realized recently when your pet or the ant or the snail or the cockroaches or whatever are almost like realizing you're trying to help them out, or the
Oh,
bee.
100%. I mean, our cats unfortunately have been bringing in loads of birds and mice because since the golf course closed, we've got also seen a hell of a lot of mice. And I mean, I don't know, it's like just rescue operations in the Liston home. It's the birds are getting rescued, the mice are getting rescued, it just, and some of them are these baby little things, and you carry
Yeah.
them out and they kind of look at you and it's just, it really is, it's the connection to ourselves and it's the connection to all that is. And yeah, I mean, everything has its place. Nature does not make mistakes. So,
Yeah.
the
Never.
cockroaches are cleaning up and all those things. But, if you think about it, we think we're at the top of the food chain, but you look at all the development that goes on and whatever. People get upset because there's a puma in their backyard or this or that. Exactly like those rats said, they are being pushed out of their habitat. So how can we all live together in harmony and peace? To me, that's what Eden is. To me, that's what heaven is when I always envision myself as like Snow White, where I'm walking through the forest and I've got all the birds and the little deer and all the creatures are around me because we understand one another and we're just okay to coexist. Nobody wants
Yeah.
to harm anybody
Yeah.
else, and it really is stepping into that time, and it's
Yeah.
it's really so exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So I did that of Cara Daniels, and I just thought it was interesting. And if we are in harmony with the creatures and the animals on the planet, we will become that way more and more. If we can recognize, like the little rat that was here in the house, Baxter alerted me to the rat, but it was plain standing still there and just like not moving, hoping that it would be ignored and not noticed. But I had to put Bex outside and then, and rescue it. It just stayed still and helped me to help it,
Yeah.
because I put it into a brown bag, a paper bag, and I took it out into the back garden, and I just
Yeah, they
sent
are
it off.
reading energy. They know when somebody's trying to help them. So, as long
Yeah.
as you're not in fear, because obviously the fear will permeate every work that you're
Yes.
trying to do. But
Exactly. Exactly.
but Rose, I just sorry, it's something that
Go on.
I don't know why I forgot about it, but there's definitely been I've been connecting more with the birds and even the little creatures. The other day I was sitting and you as a South African will know these things that we call michies. Now michies are like little flying insects that you can't quite describe what they are. They're not quite flies and they kind of like a range of little insects that South Africans don't know what they are. And what was so interesting for me the other day, and this is why I say to people, open yourselves up to this because you let the magic in.
Yeah.
And Rose, I've spoken to you several times about how I meet the fairies when I'm sometimes in my dreams or when I'm traveling or in a meditation, stuff like that. The most interesting thing happened for me on Thursday last week, and I was outside just taking my time, and I was listening to the birds, I was watching them, and the tuis are just loving the one tree that we've got in our garden at the moment, and it was full of them. And at the one point, there was this beautiful song coming out, and I had to look up, and I had noticed all the michies flying around, and I'd been watching the ants, and I'd been watching a spider, and then I was watching the bumblebees, and I was sitting there just absolutely fascinated by all these little creatures living their lives around me, as I was just sitting there. And what happened is, as I looked up, I had to do this to block out the sun, and this michi flew in front of me and it was like our eyes connected. Okay.
Wow.
But our eyes connected, and it was like the moment was frozen. That's all I can describe. And this creature must have been all of about 2 or 3 centimeters. So I don't know how my eyes locked with a creature that is that small, but that's the sensation I got. And the word fairy dropped into my head. And I believe
Wow.
that a fairy showed itself to me in physicality. I know some people might be watching this thinking, whoa, she's finally lost it. But
No.
I have never ever seen a fairy outside of meditation and that kind of thing.
Wow.
It wasn't like I was expecting that. As I said, I was looking at all the creatures and I was almost like awed by all the life around me. And then all of a sudden, this little creature comes in front of me. We have this frozen moment. I get the word fairy, and then it just disappears. It was like it just literally disappeared. It didn't fly away, it disappeared.
Yeah.
I go, how magical is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we know that the elementals look after the animals.
They do. And you know, the thing about it is when before you said fairy, I had a feeling you're going to say fairy. Um, it's another way to look at those Mickeys, as you call them. We call them food flies here. Um, because they're around everywhere. They're like sometimes if you've got fruit in the bowl or whatever, you'll see
Yeah.
them, right?
But sometimes they're skinny and sometimes they're different. I don't know.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And so I've just got a whole new perspective on how I see this in future because wow, that's a definite wow moment. Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
it was just pure magic, and I
Yeah.
just knew that it was a fairy, and I know that it was because I was having that experience, and I think it's something that I really struggle with here because I find New Zealand incredibly sterile, and as you say, a lot of the Kiwis freak out about just ants and stuff, but I come from Africa where there's loads of things that can supposedly kill
Oh
you.
yes, millipedes,
Um,
centipedes,
you
whatever.
know, but there is life. You out there, you're walking, you can't even identify the amount of insects, the
I
amount of
know.
birds, the
Yeah.
amount of, and I do find this place very, very sterile.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, um,
Is it a first world thing? Dare I say it?
well, I
You
don't
know?
know because in parts of America, I think that there are lots of things, and look at Australia. There are
Yeah. I
lots
know. Yeah, I think you're
lots of
right.
creatures.
The thing I was always grateful for is that there isn't a snake in the bush in New Zealand because, Africa, my gosh, we have had snakes come into the house.
Yeah.
This right, cobra, the rinkals.
But you
You,
see,
you-
there's always a thing. Now, when I was in South Africa a year ago, I was there this time last year, and I actually said to my husband, "Can you imagine this kind of thing in New Zealand?" Because we were sitting on my mother's balcony. There were snakes in the garden. The mongoose were keeping the snakes at bay. And and then all of a sudden there were the monkeys in the tree. And we had a
yes.
monkey that came onto the patio and stole my nachi, or
Yeah.
man, as they call it here. But you're walking down the road and the monkeys they're coming up to you, they're walking with you, they're chattering. There's a level of, even though I think Africa's always seen as very dark and disturbing and
Oh,
whatever,
please.
it's still an element of people coexisting with nature there that you don't
Oh,
get here.
exactly, exactly. And this is the thing. When I was in the Caribbean, it's just reminding me now. I was on an island. We took a tour on an island called St. Kitts and Nevis because the cruise ship had stopped there. It just reminded me of the Natal South Coast where my family, my father's family comes from. We've always grown up with you'll see monkeys. You'll know there are snakes in the sugar cane. You will know there are snakes on the banana trees because snakes will go where there's fruit. And like Africa has got well, where we come from, lots of guava trees, pawpaw, bananas, that's tropical fruits kind of thing. And because it's all my dad's family come from the lower south coast of Natal, so it's all sea and whatever, right? And they are fishermen, and they worked in the sugar mills, people in the family. And so we've had that interaction with nature, and it was really interesting because growing up, they moved to Durban, and then they obviously for work reasons, and then we lived in Chatsworth, and Chatsworth is suburbia, you know, and then sometime in the mid 80s, a troop of monkeys had moved into Chatsworth, because obviously wherever they were living in and around, that had been, their natural habitat had been affected. And so they came into suburbia because they needed food, and food was what you'd get if you were near humans. And there's some parts of Chatsworth where the monkeys just like take over, man. I mean, like they'll steal the food or they'll climb the trees. As soon as they come, if there's guavas on the tree, if there's bananas or whatever, that's it. They're gonna go for it. And you know what? That's the vibrance of Africa.
Mm.
And when I went to St. Kitts and Nevis, coming back to that, it reminded me of the Lower South Coast, because there was food growing everywhere. There were goats everywhere. There were all sorts of things, and you were like, wow. And people, it was just this gentle lull of life happening, generating, ticking over, just being.
Yeah,
So
and that's why I encourage everybody just to open up to whatever's in your backyard. Obviously, don't be silly about it. If there's a puma out there, you're not going to go and run and try and give it cuddles. I mean, I would do that, but that's just me.
and
But,
don't be silly, Emma. Be
yeah, no.
sure.
But yeah, just try and look at this from a different perspective. As I say, put yourself in this little creature's shoes, because not everything is out to get us. We need to let go of that, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And animals will recognize if you're anything will recognize if you're trying to help them. Even the bees, I try my best to help the bees, because, like, don't sting me, because if you sting me, you're
Yeah,
gonna go. And I don't want you to do that. I want you to be here. I need you to be here. That kind of thing. Right. Hmm.
yeah.
Nice, interesting conversation. I like Africa came up because we've got two African goddesses here today.
Oh, have we?
But you go
Wow.
first. You go first with the cards.
Yeah, so I don't know, I just chose three randomly as we
Yeah.
were starting. And the first one I've got is trust the niggle. What is the niggling feeling trying to tell you? I find that very interesting, based on what I was talking about earlier, where I said we can't work through all the uncomfortable feelings that we've got in our minds. This is what is your niggling feeling trying to tell you?
Okay.
And I guess the story here is it's not going anywhere, and most people spend years ignoring their niggling feelings. So and then when you face the niggle, it throws life throws you more, but you awaken to it. So the niggling is an arrow pointing to what is standing in your way, the relationship, the conversation, the decision, the shift that needs to be made, the stone in your shoe. So for me, that's quite pertinent as to what we were talking about earlier about the relationships and that. I mean,
Yes.
it really is, the niggles are there because something needs to be cleared, and that's all it is. So as much as we're human, it's having that different perspective of what the niggle is, because when you can clear that, you really set yourself free. I don't know if you agree with that,
I'm
Rose.
absolutely in agreement with that, and I'll tell you why. Because as you're speaking, this is what comes to me. In the last 3 months, I've been talking to a couple of people that were pretty sure the relationship with the husband is over, and their reason was this, and very important to say, their reason was this. I feel like it wasn't that they come to the end of the journey with them. It was, I cannot do this life anymore in my evolution process to this fifth dimension with having this relationship, because I feel it's bogging me down and I feel it's pulling me down. And I'm saying the niggling that you're feeling doesn't necessarily mean you come to the end of the journey with that person.
No.
Very important to understand. Our children, we work it out because these are our children. You can't disconnect from that, really. I mean, some people can, and whatever, but we don't necessarily choose that pathway. But when it comes to romantic relationships, there's always like an option, right? These days, more and more. So I'm saying this part here, if you're having a niggling, it means you have to work it out, I think. Understand what platform that niggling comes from. And if it is saying, I'm evolving and I can't identify with a lot of things that this person is doing and saying, as long as it is not an abusive relationship, as long as you love that person and that's the only reason, I'm encouraging you to, whatever the reason is, but I'm encouraging you, especially this one, don't leave your relationship because you've got that niggling.
Yeah, it's the not having the human knee-jerk reaction to it. It's looking, yeah, because
Yeah.
sometimes I think that sometimes also, I mean, if you think about the fact that a lot of our relationships are mirrors for us, mirrors to what healing needs to occur. Perhaps that person is just bringing out something in you that needs to be healed, and it's actually got nothing to do with the relationship.
Yeah, exactly. Soul
Um,
contracts, what have we
yeah,
signed up for?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's such a beautiful segue into the next card because it's all about responding with grace.
Yeah.
So it's not the emotional human perspective. It's the giving yourself the grace, giving yourself the kindness, the sensitivity, and looking at things from the higher perspective. I mean, stags are always so beautiful to me.
Mm.
They yeah,
Very highly evolved.
exactly. And it just says, here we exist to experience life and we will harm others. We make mistakes. And one such hurt is to believe the notion that you are flawed. You do have strengths and weaknesses, but flawed you are not.
Wow.
Perfectionism is a human construct, therefore it could be asked, what is a flaw? And again, I think it's you're almost seeing the flaws in the relationships when maybe they're not flaws. Maybe there's learnings, there's expansion, there are all sorts of other things. But you know what, we've been so programmed to be in the negative about everything. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and until you can give yourself grace and yourself kindness, you actually can't extend it to anybody else. And so
Mm.
it really is important that you do the work for yourself and
Yeah.
take the time to do what you need to do. Um,
Hmm.
this is very
Hmm.
interesting. This card is called Hostilities. Now, I know there's been a lot of talk lately. I experienced something negative the other day, but this is all about talking about your defenses need to be up because there can be aggressive energies around you. And
Yeah.
I think it's a reminder that at the moment on our path it's a reminder that we are in a spiritual war. We are
Yeah.
holding light.
Yeah.
And just ensure that you are doing what you need to do to keep your light protected and to keep shining your light. And don't let the mind, the self-doubt, the programs, all the things that we know that are out there, don't let those dim your light and don't let those sway you off your path because we have a huge, huge purpose here. So
Hmm.
yeah, so I think it's all about deceit, deception, and just learning really to just it says here whether this is an old or new energy, now is the time to regain control. Allowing dishonoring treatment from others is an open invitation to the universe to send you more. It may feel risky, but you need to have the courage to stand up for yourself now and always. And isn't that another important message? Is that some of these relationships and some of the things that you're having with people are all about you learning your boundaries and standing in your own power. So it really is a case of what is this relationship trying to teach me about me?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm, gosh, I'm having so many downloads as you're speaking, Emma. And what I want to say is, are you finished saying what
Yeah,
you needed?
yeah,
Okay.
done.
Uh, when I spoke about those two people, I just want to say those two people thought that they were supposed to leave their relationships. They've come to the realization, no, they have to do this. They have to do this thing of, okay, what is this layer that I'm refusing to look at? What is that niggly thing that I'm refusing to look at? And I'm thinking my way is out rather than to stay in and look at the niggly thing. I want to say that if you are avoiding a niggly thing in your current relationships, and if you choose the end of it, that's up to you. I'm not, but remember that if it's a niggly thing about you, it's not actually going to go away. You're taking the niggly thing with you.
100%.
Right?
Because it is
So
something that needs to be healed. It's something, all that stuff is coming out now because we can't take it with us.
exactly.
There's a South African lady that I follow called the Hedge Witch Tarot, and she was talking about going through the North Node the other day, and she said, remember, when you go through the North Node, it's kind of like this gateway to this new place that you want to be, and there's not the space for all your baggage. And even if you do manage to squeeze through it with all that baggage and whatever, you're just going to recreate that life for yourself on the other side. So drop the baggage.
Yes, yes. Drop the baggage. Not
Yeah.
the easiest we know, but you have got so much help. We have got so much help. I think in my video that I talked about, family challenges and childhood trauma, the last one, I said, contact me, because I'll tell you why I say contact me to people, because I can put you on to other people that I know can help you. Even if it's me that I can't do it, but I know that it is important that right now we understand whatever's going on in the world that we live in our personal lives. It's all for it's all rigged for us to progress. It's rigged for us to benefit, to keep going. I will say it again. Please, I am not encouraging anyone to stay in abusive relationships. All I am saying to you is, if that is your only reason, then you need to figure out what it is that you need to learn through this. We in every situation, every relationship issue that we might be going through, whether you are awakening or not, that is it. Figure out what it is that I need to learn from this thing, okay? But I'm saying specifically to light workers, light beings, please, this is part of the process, a part of our process, part of what we signed up for here. So don't leave it. Don't disconnect from the relationship if that is your only reason, or it's hindering my progression into the fifth dimension. Well, what is it that you need to clear here before your progression, to take you through? Right. So I'm looking at the time. I want to say, so we have today, I'm sorry, I have 3 cards too, and I know we've gone a little bit longer but usual, but we haven't been on the channel much. So, I hope everybody will forgive us for this. Right, my card that I have here, interesting. I've got my cards come from the African Goddess Rising Oracle card deck by Abiola Abrams. The African goddesses, interesting that we talk about Africa and everything. The African goddesses are really talking to this week. So the first goddess is Long Bubby Susie, is her name. And her little descriptor there, this is what she looks like. Looks very Native American to me. Look at that. Look at that headgear.
Yeah.
Okay. It says shame. I haven't read the card, so I don't know what it's talking about. All right, I'm going to read now. So she comes from the Temple of Shadows. Remember that this oracle card deck is divided not into suites, but into temples, and there are 9 temples. And one of the temples is shadows. Interesting. We're talking about shadows. And the element is fire. And the origin, this is Garifuna, Belize. Belize is this goddess, the people from that place, from that region, right? Garifuna, Belize. Garifuna might be Belize's origin, its ancient name or something. Long Bobby Susie keeps the children of Belize terrified. Viewed as a shadow monster, she has the power to kill or to nurture with her long, scary breasts that contain milk and poison.
Wow.
This beautiful Afro-Indigenous spirit may be a distortion of the Arawak or Taino moon goddess Atabi. Long Bubby Susie's shadow guidance is, you are beautiful and loved. Every part of you and your journey is beautiful. Even the ugliest moments, oh gosh, I can't make it up. You have a heart, soul, and breath. That makes you beautiful. She's never come up before, by the way, in my shuffling. The embodiment of her is, you are secretly scared that you are not enough. Shame is lying to you.
Wow.
You are not broken, unlovable, ugly, or unworthy. Shame keeps you small and hiding. Accept yourself now. Gosh, I'm going to cry. You are a bright light. Allow yourself to see who you are, who you really are. You are doing the very best you can. You are lovable and you are complete. The goddess's declaration is, I am protected.
Wow.
I am protected. I am protected.
Wow.
She makes me want to cry. And I think she's got the moon behind her, or there's some light behind her that she looks like she's sitting in a cave, doesn't
Yes.
she?
Yeah.
Didn't we all feel like we wanted to be in caves in the last month or so? Oh my gosh, they normally give us a whooping, the goddesses. And the other one, and oh, that's a number 19, by the way, which numerology is 1 plus 9 is 10, which is 1. Beginning, beginning, beginning. Okay. This numerology, this is Nundi, and Nundi, I've had her before, and her descriptor is truth.
Wow.
She is the goddess of truth. Her temple is the griots, and she is from Benin. Okay, and see, Nundi is as a reflection. It's like she's as above, so below, or the other way around. So she's a reflection of self. I don't know what she's going to say because I don't remember. I mean, I got Nundi last sometime. Nundi, the bold, outspoken wife of Benin Iwa, which is a deity called Legba, was feeling neglected by her husband. Oh, speaking of husbands, even with several wives, his head easily turned. So Nundi lived her truth, took her own lover, and became her own best friend.
Wow.
Nundi's guidance is get real. What is your truth? Truth telling matters. Being able to hear the truth matters just as much. The embodiment is tell the truth. Each person has their own version. Speak yours. Words have impact. Remember that we all have triggers. Think before you speak and listen with compassion. Be gentle and stay calm in truth-telling conversations. The goddess's declaration is that truth is my friend. Truth is my friend.
Wow. That ties in so much with the respond with grace.
Hey, wow, that was so profound. I almost feel like this dragon shouldn't be spoken of, but I'm going to bring the dragon. I can't leave the dragon because it's going to tie in with everything we're talking about. Today's dragon, oh my gosh. Ah, friends, I think we're just going to get into a moment of breathing because we might say something. It might say something. Emma, do you want to say anything before we carry on with the dragon? Because we're closing soon, so Paramahito, if you need to say something.
No, I just know the dragon's energy is incredibly potent at the moment.
Right.
They have a lot to share with us. I did come to the realization the other day after listening to Leslie's channel with the stellar
Yeah.
that the what is very apparent to me, and it just came in out of the blue, actually early hours of this morning, is that I feel that the dragons are really trying to help us because in exactly the same way as they had their corruption and almost their fall from grace and their fall in consciousness when Khan was corrupted by power, isn't that exactly what happened with humanity? And there is a kinship between the dragons and us because of that connection. But it was really important, and I think it was so brilliant that the beautiful golden lion, the winged lion, didn't interfere to kind of stop whatever happened, because without going through the darkness, we wouldn't have realized what it was. And I think that's the similarity between us and the dragons, is that we fell, we've been in the depths of the darkness, and now we understand what that is. And now we can transform it, and we've been through it and we know it. But if we had almost bypassed that darkness, it would always be a, well, what if, but we now can learn from the mistakes because we understand what that dark experience has brought us.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a kinship between what happened with the dragons and humanity. I don't know, that just
Exactly.
dropped it for me this morning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, friends, Emma is speaking of Stellar Nation soul families. Leslie Shankman is the person doing the teachings on there. I must say, if you're wanting to understand your cosmic history, our cosmic history, that's the channel to watch. And I'll put a link. She's just done the unicorns.
Oh yeah. Oh, it
She's
was
just done the
beautiful.
unicorns, and it's telling the story. And this is books written by authors. They wrote it in Hungarian first, and the books have been translated into English. And Leslie has helped. She hasn't been the translator, but she has helped to decipher and I suppose maybe give a clearer translation of what's in English from the English version. So really interesting. Those something's amazing that's going to happen in the next maybe 6 to 8 months with the stellar nations. And I just feel so much happening around my Kundalini right now as we're speaking about them. Right, friends, the dragon is the golden flame. Sorry, I'll say it again. The gold and silver violet flame dragon.
Wow.
This dragon transmutes the old around you and brings with it wisdom and grace. Look at the butterfly in it. Look at the golden flame around it. It's also got a grid behind it. Looks like maybe Metatron's cube or some part of it. It's got one on the floor. It's got one on the reflection behind it. That is it. And it's time for transmutation, magic, and healing. Offer service under grace. Do you know, when I was shuffling the dragon cards, there were so many dragon cards falling out. And this is telling me how much the dragons are wanting to help us. How many of them want to come forward? Fifth dimensional gold and silver violet flame dragons are powerful alchemists. When they come to us, they transmute the old and allow magic and wonder to be revealed in its place. These glorious dragons work with Archangel Zadkiel and Saint Germain, the Lord of civilization, and automatically link us to them when we call them in. Saint Germain was a great magician and dragon master. When we speak his name, a great light touches us. Archangel Zadkiel, too, illuminates us and the dragons when we call illuminates us and the dragons when we call him in. The dragons then surround us in gold, silver, and violet flames of wisdom, grace, and transmutation. The violet flames transmute the old and raise the frequency to the higher level. The silver ones bring in divine feminine grace, and the gold ones saturate us with wisdom. This card suggests it is time to let go of an aspect of your life that is no longer serving you. Ask the gold and silver violet flame dragons to clear the thought of it totally from your energy fields. Sense or feel them etherically burning up the old. Then ask them to replace it with new and joyful possibilities that come to you at a higher frequency. When you connect with these dragons, you have a wonderful opportunity for service work. You can send them under the law of grace to any person or place that needs transformation. Remember, you will also be working with Saint Germain and Archangel Zadkiel, who will illuminate you. So take a few moments now to direct these dragons to heal people, places, situations, and the world. Often, we will send these dragons to heal war-torn areas because that will come to us first, poverty-stricken areas.
Such a beautiful card because it's in the healing of ourself, we heal the collective, we heal the planet, offering service. It's all connected.
It's all connected. What I want to say about this card, this dragon, is at this moment is what I'm feeling is whilst we send this dragon, we will send the dragons to war-torn zones, and we'll send them to I feel a bit emotional. I'm not sure what's going on, but okay. I've just put musicians mode on because I think we have to bring in some light. I'm gonna hold up the card and we have to bring in some divine feminine. We are clearing to some divine feminine energy here. So we're asking you, we're invoking the dragons, these gold and silver violet flame dragons, to come into our homes, into the relationships we have. I'm hearing the human trafficking that's going on and onto the planet. I'm bringing that through because these are things you might be thinking, you might be wondering, what do I do? Bring it in. Bring these dragons in for yourself if you need it. Okay, so we're just going to do a light language transmission and then feet firmly planted on the ground, friends. Take a deep breath. Welcome, violet flame dragons, gold and silver violet flame dragons. Welcome, Archangel Zadkiel. Welcome, Saint Germain. As we all gather together here, whatever time and space it finds anyone and everyone. Have you had the call of the dragon yet? Have you heard the call of the dragon? They are flying around us. And as we come in and we are invoking the support, the guidance, the well intentions, the strong intentions of bringing in love, joy, peace, happiness into every family, every light worker's life, every light being's energy. Saint Germain and Archangel Zadkiel. Every person that watches, every person that comes across this transmission, whatever time and space, whatever comes to mind for them, we are invoking the energies, the support, the help, the transmutation of anything that is out of grace, bringing us all under grace, sending grace, love, support, energy, peace, joy, everything to whatever it is, whomever it is we think of in this time. Very especially to our family dynamics. Very especially to every family on planet Earth. Every family that is having these interruptions, that is being stirred right now into this uncomfortable sphere to work out energies, to work out all that's causing insult and injury. For ourselves, for our walk, for our journey right now. Take a moment to breathe one more time, friends. And now us as a collective, all of us that come into this, we are coming through and we are bringing in our personal violet flame dragon. We are invoking the support and help of Saint Germain. We're invoking the help of Archangel Zadkiel. Right now we are flying all of us together over the areas, over the land, over the planet, over everything that is called human trafficking, everything that is hidden under that subject. There are souls that are there because it is their contract. There are souls that are there and that are confused. There are souls that are there that in terms of fear. We are asked right now, violet flame dragons, to blow your flame onto these places, wherever they are, to transmute that energy of fear. The fear, the energy of ignorance, the energy of subjection, the energy of oppression, of suppression, of confusion. Transmutation. So those souls that are there, that are performing this function, that are in confusion, To raise the vibration. Taking in light, taking in love, taking in flames, taking in clearing the blocks, clearing the confusion, clearing the mind space, rising them through the violet flame of the highest perspective. Koranahia mahena mahaita hea Konama irana mahina mahrujula lidina mahia Walena ulahie Wahielene alamahae Gorane Imakalutlea. Can you see it? Can you feel the peace? Can you feel the love? Can you feel the sweet joy? Can you feel the healing? Haya he amaha oh he oh Yimakara machai macha machaima Gina makila ma Yamaho he oh Now, as we come back, friends, kanimika tudakata hibakoronateka. Inakashila katakutofaha inakatoto. Have a sip of water if that is available to you. Feet firmly planted on the ground. What I saw at the end of all of that is that all of us that were in this transmission, all of us, I know we can see Emma and Rosia, Moro Kitchena, Mikironitien, Eta, but all of you that joined us in this, all of our squad, together with the violet flame dragons, Hinakaton, golden, silver, violet flame dragons, and the Archangel Zadkiel and his squad, because Archangel Zadkiel works with his squad as well. Saint Germain, whomever is just invoking Saint Germain, we were all over the planet. We have taken the flight all over the planet in that transmission. I could see all of us. And after all of the dragon energy and light and flames that were burning out, that confusion and fear and corruption and these souls lights coming through, they are coming to the realization of what they're doing. Okay, everyone, even on the dark side, even those that are dark are playing a part here. These are our family members. These are our brothers and sisters that are going through this situation. And, all of that. And we are also human, remember. So, if you feel emotional, we're human. But there will be souls amongst the oppressors that are gonna light up now after we've done this. The oppressors are gonna be the liberators. Thank you, friends. Lots of energy there. How are you, Emma?
Yeah, good. That was awesome. I don't know if I'm feeling called to show this, but
Yeah.
You probably can't see it.
I can see it. There's a dragon in there, right?
I got this crystal very recently. It called to me from across the room, and only when I brought it home. It's a smoky quartz, but it's got deposits of mica in, which look almost like foil. But this crystal is filled with dragons.
Yeah.
I'm just being called to share it through the channel, whether people can see it or not. It's full of dragon energy, this crystal.
Yeah. Wow. Wow, so much energy, friends. Just feel so, yeah. So, take a walk in nature afterwards. Go and walk, ground yourself, do something that grounds you, because it was quite a flight. There was a lot of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else before we go, Emma? What a high note.
Suppose.
Well, thank you everyone for watching here on Ananda Rose. And you're so very welcome. And if you have been watching just anybody from Light Language Messenger, we will put this up there too once we get the download from YouTube, because I just feel like a little bit sad we haven't transferred all the subscribers here, because of understanding, trying to get the right information to transfer. We will do the transfer, and then you'll get all of it firsthand, all of the Light Language Messenger subscribers. But I will post this there too, because the channel is still alive and happening. People are still viewing things on there, so I will do that. Thank you, and so much love.
Thank
So
you.
much love.
Thank you to everybody out there.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.